Before we get started, there's one thing I wanted to get out of the way. After the last video I posted on YouTube about Caleb Maupin and his visit with the fascists and the way he sucked up to Dugan, not that he's a Nazbol or anything, he decided to put me on blast, calling me a liar as well. And it turned out what he was specifically taking issue with, the only one thing that he took issue with specifically, was the statement that his father was a banker. Now, just to be clear, the only reason I wouldn't have said that if I hadn't also heard that in other places. And it turns out it was actually a joke that a lot of people misinterpreted. I mean, if you Google Caleb Maupin father, you find all sorts of references to this. But what I want to just say is, after he said that, I decided to just check it out myself, because I don't consider it advisable to take anything that Caleb Maupin says as read without some independent corroboration. So I decided to look into it. Now, I'm not going to publicly identify Caleb Maupin's father. I'm not going to dox his dad, which would be extremely easy, which is why I'm being very careful, because I've got no problem with his father. I don't want to fuck with his father. But one thing that I can confirm with a high degree of certainty is that he's not a banker, has never worked in finance, and is in a completely different field altogether. On the other hand, another thing that can be said is that he isn't exactly proletarian, but he's not a banker. So I know a lot of people got the wrong idea. I had heard it on a stream, joint stream of the Surfs and Thought Slime, and the reason I had actually thought it was a statement of fact is because there was sort of a pause. This is the one where he's talking about how he went to Ecuador and discovered there was poverty in the world. And the way it was phrased, as far as there was sort of a pause when the two of them were talking about, well, what does his dad do that he's going to business trips to Ecuador? I thought that one of them had looked it up. When, in fact, I raised that the other day after I got put on blast by Caleb Maupin to see where they'd gotten that, and it turns out it was actually just meant to be a joke. It was a bit, and I'd misunderstood it. But in any case, his father's not a banker. He's still an asshole. And we'll probably end up talking about a little bit more about that. But if you go to that video that I uploaded about his speech with the Nazbols and in Moscow, you'll find that I actually blurred out the part about the humble son of an international banker. And the reason I did that is because, based on my own research, it's not true, and I prefer to have a go at him over the stuff that is true, because there's plenty of true stuff that's wrong with him and all he does. But the banker dad thing, that turns out not to be true. So maybe we should probably stop saying that. I can understand why anyone got the idea. I had the same misunderstanding, but turns out it's not true. So, there we are. Got the word of reaction, father. They will not silence us. Suit socialism, destroy the synthetic left. Wearing a synthetic suit. That, incidentally, that's one of the things I learned from Caleb Maupin having a go at me. See, here's the thing. He says that he can't possibly be a Nazbol. He never actually says he rejects any of the ideology, mind you. Of course not. No, but what he does say is that in order to be a Nazbol, you have to be a member of a specific political party. He says Dugan isn't even a Nazbol anymore. Again, not because he rejects the tenets of the ideology, but because the party doesn't exist. On the other hand, I and a huge number of people, many of whom totally disagree on pretty much everything, are all part of something called the synthetic left, which exists. I mean, it definitely exists, because he fucking made it up. 쏟아진 존재 세상에 보름 없소라. Okay, so as we're kind of reeling it in here, I'm gonna move over and we're gonna see the Tuesday night lives today will not silence us. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
How is everyone doing tonight? Now, tonight I'm streaming.
Hell. No, I'm trying to full screen you. How is everyone doing tonight? Oh wow, he's upped it. He's got a fucking handkerchief in there. It looks like fucking silk handkerchief. And he still looks like, I mean, this whole way he's shooting this, apart from the fact that he's shooting it in, like, 8-bit resolution, it's like he'd just been called into fucking HR or something. And he's about to say, yeah, it's about time for you to... There's a time in everyone's life, and maybe for you, that's right now, that you have to think about the future. I mean, that's what this fucking looks like. It looks like I'm fired.
With Streamyard. I am using Streamyard. I don't.
Oh, are you using Streamyard?
Stream from my phone, but given the current situation with YouTube and everything going on there, I thought I might try to stream with Streamyard. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay, so what I'm getting is you're streaming with Streamyard.
Glad to be here. Glad that you're here as always. Welcome. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the
Jesus Christ
bell.
This guy.
This
guy, he's asking for a favor and it makes it look like he's giving you an assignment. And you're somebody who can't be trusted to do it because they've been asked once. This fucking guy.
We are here, despite the best efforts of our detractors. We are not going anywhere. I've got plenty of unnamed diet beverage. I
wonder if he picked that up at Sandwich Shop, where he toured Working Class Life for a semester.
I'm pouring the unnamed diet beverage. It's a little bit different to be staring at my computer screen rather than staring at my iPhone, but that's...
Yes, but still you look like as much of a prick as you do anyway. I mean...
Okay. That's all good. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the...
Again.
Notifications bell. All right, so the way we do things here is that I give my opening remarks.
God.
And then from there, after I give my opening remarks...
You just give your fucking opening remarks. We don't need you to give an outline of it. Like, seriously, I mean...
From there, then we do our roll call, where I call you out as I see you.
A roll call? Are you fucking kidding? I was joking about the HR thing, and here he is making it real. Actually, I mean, this is more like what I was saying a few weeks ago, that it's like being called into the head teacher's office or some shit.
Names and
roll
locations.
Call.
And then after I call you out as I see you, names and locations, at that point, then I answer your super chat questions for the rest of the night. Then we're done. And that's how things seem to work. So I wish you
That's
all
how things seem to work?
a happy Wednesday, or no, today's Tuesday. I wish you all a happy Tuesday evening. With no further ado, I guess we will get down to business. Now, the reason that there's been a little bit of a shake-up here is because I am unable to upload videos to YouTube at this time. Every time I upload...
I mean, that's a real pity. I mean, where would I ever find the material if he stopped uploading videos? Well, I guess I go to the other right-wingers. I mean, there's always PragerU. It's YouTube. I mean, fucking Steven Crowder. There are lots of right-wing hacks.
Upload a video since Sunday. Every time I upload a video, it says processing will begin shortly and does not upload. I have confronted the Google, creator support about this, and they say that my videos are now subject to manual review. I don't know what that means.
Manual review? First of all, of course, being Caleb Maupin, we do have to keep in mind this might not actually be true. But if so, I mean, holy shit. Like, what exactly... What is... I've never even heard of manual review.
I guess it means that their internal team has to manually look at my videos before they can go up. Well, they haven't done it yet,
Yeah, I know. I mean, if my job was to look at your videos, like actually look at the whole thing without getting to take the piss out of them, I would procrastinate too. Because the thing about your content is it's painful to watch.
I deleted and then re-uploaded. I mean, videos have been waiting, so I don't know when they're going to manually look at my videos. Now, keep in mind, I don't have any strikes. I have never had a strike. I am not in violation of the policies at all. But now,
well, there was the time you platformed a turf. That was kind of TOS. I mean, yeah, spreading what is it? Promoting stereotypes that delegitimize a marginalized group or something like that. Yeah, so you did that. And there's the anti-Semitic shit. Although the thing is, I don't even think it's because of the anti-Semitic shit, because people who are much, much, much more obvious in their anti-Semitic shit don't have any problem uploading to YouTube, so maybe not even that. I mean, there is TOS stuff if you want to look for it, though.
They want to manually review my videos. Now, I don't know if this is going to be every video. I asked them at one point in the exchange, I asked them... I said, should I expect this with every video from here forward?
Is this all he's going to talk about?
And they said yes. So they're not really giving me information. I don't know why my videos are being held in anticipation. They'll apparently be discussing issues related to nuclear proliferation. That's a pretty... Right now, we're also streaming on Facebook. Right. Never a good thing. Never, never, never is nuclear war a good thing. Biden took office on a platform of saying that Trump was soft on Putin. It was Putin. So there you go. Just going through here. All right. Getting used to
I haven't actually watched this. The thing
we're doing...
I don't really watch these things until I'm streaming because I want to have just sort of a more natural, spontaneous reaction. But so I'm kind of skipping through just to see what he's talking about, to see if there's anything that's actually going to be worth reacting to.
Stay on top of things. That was kind of a good feeling. And, heading into the summit tomorrow, we're just going to have to see what happens in Geneva. See what Biden has to say, see what Putin has to say, and that's really all that we can do.
This is the best resolution we can get.
The situation with China, as far
360p,
as the situation with China,
is that his?
The Tibetan separatists are making noise. The Taiwan separatists are making noise. There is an escalation of demonization of China. There's the whole allegation that somehow... who goes by the internet moniker, Thoughts Line. We don't want to say Skippy's name. We just call him Skippy the Bear. But Skippy the Bear says in one of his video streams that democratic centralism have become deeply problematic. So that's a big part of the book. Look, it is shocking to me, okay? I mean, as I'm putting this book together, I just don't get it. And they, in the name of anti-fascism, they're just anti-populist and anti-working class, and that they've taken on a lot of the...
Yeah, except the thing is, being anti... See, what this is there's this idea. Yeah, in fact, it's a an idea that is pushed very much by, like, ruling class media, that all the bigotry, all the reactionary ideas, all that's just salt-of-the-earth working class stuff. When in fact it is being promoted, has always been promoted by powerful interests. I mean, Fox News isn't a couple of guys run by a couple of guys from down the coal mines in Kentucky on their off hours. That's rich fuckers promoting racism, promoting white supremacism, promoting all sorts of reactionary shit, homophobia, transphobia. I mean, go through all the list, it would take way too long. The idea that reactionary ideology is a working class thing and that opposing reactionary ideology is anti-working class. We'll leave aside that populist is a euphemism for fash. And when he used it, the first time I saw him use it was in his sycophantic speech to a fascist group by the name of the International Eurasian Movement.
Teachings of Theodore Adorno, Susan Sontag, and others, and in the name of anti-fascism, they have become deeply problematic. So that's a big part of the book. Look, it is shocking to me, okay? I mean, as I'm putting this book together,
Who the hell's citing Susan Sontag?
Just don't get it. It really just shows you how rigged social media really is and how much Orwellian thought control and manipulation of the public there is. Look, in one of his videos, or their videos, Skippy the Bear, who goes by the internet moniker, Thoughtslime.
I've been wondering who the fuck Skippy the Bear is. Okay, so that's been clarified.
We don't want to say Skippy's name. We just call him Skippy the Bear. But Skippy the Bear says in one of his video streams that democratic centralism is an economic mode of production. Right, so Skippy the Bear is making a video. And
where does he say this?
And he's trying to explain what socialism is. And of course, he thinks socialism is just a bunch of independent worker cooperatives competing with each other and functioning according to the profit motive.
Citation fucking needed. I mean, he specifically... In fact, that's actually just a lie. See, Caleb, when I got your dad's occupation wrong, which I did in the best of faith, because everything I heard said one thing, and it seemed plausible based on the information you yourself had provided, that was me getting something wrong. A lie is when you know perfectly well something isn't true, and you say it anyway. For example, when you say that Thoughtslime is advocating worker cooperatives operating based on profit motive, I mean, I know you've actually looked at and made ridiculous, just utterly absurd, bizarre reaction videos to some of the videos in which he talks about what he means by socialism, and you know perfectly well he does not mean that. That's just some shit that you made up.
Couldn't possibly be what they had in the Soviet Union, couldn't possibly be what they have in China, couldn't possibly be what they have in Cuba. Oh, no.
Well, I mean, yeah, see, the thing is, if the working class doesn't actually control the means of production, and there is commodity production for exchange value with private capital accumulation, yeah, that isn't socialism, Caleb. I mean, I once heard from somebody who describes himself as the great sage of our time that it isn't socialism just because the government does it. See, the government did stuff in the Soviet Union, the government does stuff in China, but the thing is, the capitalist mode of production remained basically untouched. They just replaced one set of capitalists with another.
Socialism is this idea that's totally compatible with capitalism. It's just every business is a co-op.
Again, this is just a fucking lie. None of the people he's attacking says this.
What, a centrally planned economy is. So he says, well, a centrally planned economy is this thing that Lenin made up, and it's called democratic centralism.
Interesting. He's not actually giving us the video that he claims to be responding to, because I've watched pretty much everything that ThoughtSlime's done, and some of it more than once, because I just enjoy it. I like the way he does his videos. And I have absolutely no recollection of him ever bringing up the subject of democratic centralism, let alone coming up with the bullshit that he's talking about here.
And you see that, and you just think, like, that is so ignorant.
Yeah, that thing you just made up, it's so ignorant. If it were true, it would really be discrediting.
Democratic centralism was the political organizational methods of the Bolshevik Party.
Which is in no way incompatible with saying that it was made up by Lenin.
Okay, democratic centralism has nothing to do with centrally planned economies, has nothing to do with 5-year economic plans.
I'd love to see a citation from where ThoughtSlime's supposed to have said this. Oh, I'm sorry, Skippy the Bear. Because, see, if you say ThoughtSlime 3 times, he actually sort of shows up in your house in the form of sort of a snake with Michael Keaton's head. So you have to be careful. You can't say ThoughtSlime too many... Oh, shit, I said it too many times already. Yeah. I would love to see where ThoughtSlime is supposed to have... Oops, said it again. Is supposed to have said that all this about democratic centralism, because I have not heard him even discuss the issue of democratic centralism, and I somehow don't think that he came up with this bullshit that is being attributed to him by Caleb Maupin. In fact, this would not be the first time that Caleb Maupin has just made shit up and attributed it to him. Like, I mean, the time he called him a Malthusian because he acknowledged the existence of overproduction in capitalism.
I wrote it down. Nothing to do with that. And he sits there and he says, well, actually, this idea that we should have a centrally planned economy was invented by Lenin. It's called democratic centralism.
Yeah, again...
And you hear that, and you just think, like,
citation
this individual does not know anything about Marxism.
Sort of like that time that you were talking about the actual Marxist view on the family, and you actually left out the bit where family abolition is right in the Communist Manifesto, one of 2 works by Marx and Engels that you demonstrably have some familiarity with.
This person doesn't know anything about Marxism. I mean,
You see, that's kind of the feeling that a lot of us get when we watch your videos, Caleb. This person really does not know shit about Marxism.
Party of New Type, democratic centralism, the Bolshevik organizing methods, these have not, I mean, that's not the same as having a centrally planned economy. One is a political organizing method used by the Bolsheviks to overthrow capitalism. The other is an economic form. And the fact that he does not know what a basic Marxist-Leninist concept like democratic centralism means.
What video is this supposed to be?
His ignorance would make a statement like this. Makes you wonder, how on earth did this individual become the spokesperson for Marxism and socialism on the internet?
Except he isn't the spokesperson for Marxism. He doesn't even call himself a Marxist. He's an anarcho-communist. See, it's possible to know about Marx without being a Marxist. It's possible to have a lot of respect for Marx's work without being a Marxist. I've never heard ThoughtSlime ever even call himself a Marxist, let alone the spokesperson for Marxism. Meanwhile, let me just pull this up. Since we're talking about people supposedly having really grandiose views of themselves, Caleb Maupin bio. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to the very top here. This is what Caleb calls himself. Caleb is that voice, that professor, that sage you knew existed, but we're never lucky enough to meet. He actually says that this is what he puts. This is his website. He put that on there. Note, there's no actual. There's no attribution of this supposed quote. So when he tries to present other people as saying that they're presenting themselves as the spokesperson for anything, this is a guy who presents himself as a sage, for fuck's sake. The more I look at the way he presents himself, the more it's clear to me why he found Kim Jong-il an inspirational figure. He likes cults of personality. He wants his own. He's jealous of Bob Avakian, or is it Avakian? I don't know how he pronounces his name. Avakian, maybe even. Anglicization does terrible things to surnames.
Another great example, Vosh, in his rants, he often will quote Marx saying, the Paris Communards showed that the working class cannot take hold of the ready-made state machinery, but must smash it, that's a legit quote from Marx.
Yes, one that you conveniently weren't aware of when you read that video, Destroying BreadTube, by pointing at overproduction in capitalism, which you had previously said was a Malthusian concept. If you would just kind of admit that you're finding these things out about Marx just from your critics pointing them out in response videos, you'd almost begin to be a little bit more credible.
But he uses that quote to say that Marx did not advocate creating a proletarian state. That's ridiculous. It comes from Karl Marx's lecture, his presentation, The Civil War in France, about the Paris Commune. And he spends the entire next paragraph, the entire next 3 or 4 pages, going into great detail about how the Paris Communards broke apart the capitalist state of France, of Paris, and built new institutions, built new state institutions, new parliaments, new militias, and praising those parliaments and militias. All right. $4.99. All righty. And so,
fortunately, I'm running out of time here.
This is just the situation. We've got people who they don't know what they're talking about, but more than not knowing what they're talking about, they're being you watch. There's a stream that a couple months back, Vosh did a stream where he was.
See, this is an example of him sort of lumping. Now, remember, he says that the reason he's not an Ozbol, despite not identifying a single part of the ideology he disagrees with, is that there is no Nazbol political party to be part of. So when it comes to ideological attributions directed at him that he doesn't like but he can't refute, there's no such thing as an ideology. There's either a political party or it doesn't exist. Which is why he also claims Dugin. He said this on his Twitter. Dugin isn't even a Nazbol, he says. But when it comes to people to the left of him, though on the case of Vosh, I'm honestly not sure. Vosh is actually just another reactionary shitlord too. But he lumps people together with as much wild abandon as PragerU does when they're conceiving of what the left is, and they sort of lump together. It's the Democrats and DSA and all this shit. He puts Vosh in there and Destiny in there. Destiny hates the online left. He explicitly says so. He is happy to point out how much he hates how much he hates the left. He's actually defended the white supremacist murder gang who killed a bunch of people in Kenosha back during the early days of the uprising. And Vosh, you can't find somebody who's amongst in the circles that are loosely termed BreadTube, which also isn't an organization. So, if we're going to use the standard you use to deny you're an Ozbol, Caleb, then BreadTube also doesn't exist. And the synthetic left also doesn't exist. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so he's actually one of the most possibly controversial figures imaginable. Because of all the reactionary shit he does. So lumping him together and using him to discredit people who have a very low opinion of him in a lot of cases makes absolutely no fucking sense. And the only reason to do it is if either you don't know what you're talking about or you hope your audience is ignorant enough that they won't notice what you're doing.
Trying to convince his viewers to vote for Joe Biden. A lot of streams like that.
That's an example of some reactionary shit Vosh does.
Vosh is on there trying to convince his viewers to vote for Joe Biden. And he's got a bunch of quotations from Marx and from Lenin, and Mao, to convince everybody to vote for Joe Biden.
I don't know whether this is true, mind you.
It becomes pretty clear he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Which is funny because I know this guy. He sits up on a shitty camera in a bad suit, and when he's not telling a bunch of fascists that he's actually a populist and identifies as more akin to Huey Long, the Louisiana governor who was widely praised at the time by actual card-carrying fascists. Interestingly enough. Yeah. There's this guy with his bad suits and he either looks like he either sets up his shot so it looks like you're in detention or something, or HR or some shit, or like he's in an airplane toilet, and he gives you all these very selective cherry-picked quotes from Marx and everything, often trying to attribute Lenin's ideas to Marx, interestingly enough. And when you actually listen to him try to explain what any of this stuff means, it becomes clear that either he doesn't know what it means, or he's just deliberately, willfully misrepresenting them.
The quotes don't even mean what he says they mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's what so many of us have pointed out about the quotes you use.
He does not understand the contexts of the quotes.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, is this... we need to watch his eyes here. Is there some kind of insight possibly on the way?
Thank you, Failure First. Much appreciated, right? They haven't shut me down. I'm still here streaming, right? As long as I can still stream, I'm here. He doesn't understand the context of the quotes. He's just, rambling off. And, Hakeem did a video.
See, an example of not understanding the context of the quotes is when you use the... Communist Manifesto to destroy BreadTube, and the bits you relied on were bits that Marx and Engels in a later edition said they wouldn't have written if they had a chance to write it over, because the Paris Commune actually made them reconsider those ideas. Now, did you not understand the context there, or were you just bullshitting?
Debunking this and how just embarrassing it is. Vosh didn't assemble this list of quotes. Somebody assembled it for him. But the people who assembled it for him are...
Yes, I mean, it's not like he has access to search engines and word processors to Google quotes and combine them.
Quite embarrassing also. I mean, the BreadTube universe is particularly cringe. I mean, and I've
yes, the BreadTube universe really is so cringe. Now let me tell you about how much I like Louis Farrakhan and Jody Barr, who by Caleb Maupin's definition, no longer a communist. You see, I mean, I'm saying by his definition, because only by his definition was she ever one to begin with. She was in the CPGB-ML. Now she's deputy leader of the Patriotic Socialist Workers' Party, which is this thing that's combined with some far-right ex-Laborites and George Galloway. And, yeah. So, if you can only take a political designation if that designation correlates to some actual currently existing organization that you're in, Jody Barr is not a communist. If you take communism to be an idea with principles, then also not a communist, but you get there a different way.
Spent more time thinking about BreadTube than I ever want to spend, really. I mean, I really don't want to think about BreadTube very much anymore. I'm pretty sick of thinking about BreadTube. They're just infuriating, honestly. It's infuriating. Contrapoints has that video, where it's, how to spot a fascist. And of course.
Okay, wait a second. So when did Contrapoints become a BreadTube? I mean,
they say they're not a fascist. I am not a fascist is exactly what a fascist would say, says Contrapoints. You watch the video, anything could be fascist, according to that video. Hand gesture, a phrase.
Well, yes, very specific hand gestures.
This "you're a secret fascist" stuff never applies to Joe Biden, right? How many racial gaffes?
Okay, see, and this is becoming a very common talking point with people who are trying to bring fast shit into left circles. The idea is that supposedly those of us who object to fast shit are fine with it when Democrats do it. Except when you actually ask us, it turns out we fucking hate the Democrats. And none of us particularly likes Joe Biden, who is a white supremacist rapist with a horrible track record. And it's absolutely a disgrace that that the Democratic Party manipulated things to make him the nominee. I mean, see, what the fuck is... I mean, this stuff is such a standard right-wing talking point at this point for people who are trying to sort of weasel fast shit into left circles. Now,
says Joe Biden...
It's complete bullshit.
But, no, he's not a fascist.
Who said he isn't?
Inappropriate action, says Joe Biden, but everybody knows Joe Biden's not a fascist because he's the status quo.
Yeah, I'd like to know who he's attributing to this. Maybe Contrapoints? I don't know what Contrapoints thinks of Joe Biden. I don't really pay much attention to Contrapoints. I don't give a shit. And also, Contrapoints... This is literally the first time I've ever heard that Contrapoints was supposedly part of BreadTube. But here's the thing. A lot of the people that you're attacking actually would say that Joe Biden... at the very least, is fascist adjacent. Not least, because the biggest space of support that modern paramilitary street fascism in the U.S. has is the cops. And Joe Biden loves the cops, wants to give them everything they want, and doesn't understand why it's not mutual. But, I mean, they'll take the fucking money, of course. And with that, unfortunately, wiki listing all the cited... Hi, Grégoire. Sorry, I'm just noticing this. I'm actually wrapping it up. But when you say cited channels and persons, do you mean that he's citing, that Caleb Maupin there is citing? I don't know if there's a wiki, but I mean... if you just go look up Thought Slime on YouTube, you'll find Thought Slime. I mean, he's easy to find. Vosh, that's V-A-U-S-H, is the spelling, just in case. I've written it down there for you. You can look him up on YouTube and you can find that stuff. But in terms of citations, shit. He is not providing any. He's not, and you should not rely on what he says. He often just makes this stuff up. C'est un type qui raconte pas mal de conneries. Et à propos, si je fais des commentaires comme ça en des autres langues, je pourrais. Si t'as des vidéos à me recommander, j'aurais aucun problème, j'aimerais bien. Parce que ça, c'est un stream multilingue. C'est un stream polyglotte. On peut le faire en français, on peut le faire en anglais, en espagnol, en coréen. Je m'en fous. Enfin, ça m'importe très peu. La langue qui se parle dans le chat, c'est la langue que je vais parler, si je peux. Mais maintenant, il faut que j'y aille parce que le reste des gens qui habitent ici est en train de dormir et je ne veux pas les réveiller. Donc, je vais dire bonne nuit et si tu as des vidéos à me recommander pour faire tes commentaires comme ça, ben, je t'en prie, j'adorerais de les faire. Bonne nuit.